Hey everyone, it's Zach here, and today I'm standing in my backyard food forest, and I figured it's time I give you an updated tour of this place. It's been a while since that first video I posted, and things have really grown, and it's amazing to see. It's July 20th, so it's really hot and not much rain. It's supposed to get up to 107 today. That's the high here in Oklahoma. But I wanted to give you a tour of this place, and just a forewarning, it's a little bit messy. I'm planning on cleaning it up this weekend. It needs some work, but I've just been kind of letting things grow and see how they do and what everything, how all the different connections are working together, and just trying to observe and learn from nature. So let's get to it. All right, so here is my Chickasaw plum. This thing has taken off. It is probably, let's see, it's been a little over a year, probably a year and a half since I planted it. And when I planted it, it was the size of this indigo shrub here. And it is huge now. It's almost 12, I'd say it's 12 feet at least. And it's really doing good. It didn't produce this year, but I think next year we'll probably get a decent crop off of it. And so like I said, I got this shrub indigo here. This is a nitrogen fixer, and so I planted this here to support that plum tree as well as this pawpaw tree here. So I'm really excited about this thing. He's not real big yet, but he looks really healthy, the leaves do, and I'm really excited about it. Like I said, it's a mess here. My chickens have been tearing things up, so I had cardboard and hay for mulch, but I'm gonna come through and put another layer of hardwood chipped mulch on there. So here, that's a yarrow I planted this year. So I planted a lot of stuff this year: the yarrow, the pawpaw, the indigo shrubs. I planted several indigo shrubs and pawpaws I'll show you, but yarrow was one of the things I planted this year. It's a great medicinal plant and I'm excited to use. Blackberry, this thing actually produced for us this year. We probably got about 10 berries or so, which is nice. You can see a couple on there now. Not that one's right there, but yeah, this thing is doing really well and I'm excited for this thing. It's got a lot of shoots down here I want to propagate, and I hope to get a lot more of these guys soon. They're awesome. But I've got a little raised bed garden here I made, and I've got some okra, heirloom okra and heirloom corn growing. So we do have some okra finally. It just started producing for us. And then we've got quite a few corns in there, maybe 10 or so. So I'm excited about that. We've got the cannas over there. Those are doing really good, going kind of crazy. And like I said, you can see in my yard, I just let go. I've mowed it once this season, and before I mowed it, it was cool because it was just filled with lamb's quarters everywhere. So that tells me one thing, that this is nitrogen rich soil, which is good, probably from all the animals. I know before I lived here, the owners had, or the people had dogs, and now I have dogs. So there's just a lot of nitrogen in the soil, which is good, for me anyway. But you can see I've got this lamb's quarters here. I've left this, and I come in here and I pick off of it and eat it, and it's pretty good. I've got a lot of pokeweed growing around here too. I let grow everywhere because it really decompacts the soil and mines nutrients, and I use it as a chop and drop mulch. So it's a really great plant in that aspect, even though a lot of people consider it a weed. But here, this is a redbud tree. This is a native Oklahoma tree. It doesn't produce fruits or anything, but it does flower. It's one of the earliest flowering plants here, trees. And so it's really great for pollinators, but you can actually eat the flower buds, and you can eat the seed pods it produces, and you can use the flower buds for dye. So it has a lot of uses, and it's in the legume family. It's not supposed to be a nitrogen fixer. Supposedly it's not, but I'd like to do experiments and see if I can find out, because I have a suspicion that it may be a nitrogen fixer because it grows in the understory. It's almost a shrub-like tree. So I just have a suspicion that it may be. I want to do some experiments and find out. But I'll be updating you more on that later. So in here, this guy right here, this is a jujube, and he is thriving. I planted him this year at the beginning of in the spring, and he's just put on a ton of growth, and he's doing really well, even though he's being kind of competing with this lamb's quarter and the sunflower there. And you can see I've got all these sunflowers. I wish I would have done a video sooner because they're all done blooming now. But these are the heirloom mammoth sunflowers that I grew last year. I saved all the seeds from. So I'm really loving these. I love sunflowers. Like pokeweed, they're actually, they decompact the soil. They have a really deep taproot. And one thing I found out recently about sunflowers is that they are incredible about detoxifying the soil. They mine and pull heavy metals and toxins out of the soil very abundantly. I mean, you can see how much biomass they produce, and so you can think how much heavy metals they're pulling in and nutrients. But they were used in the aftermath of Fukushima and Chernobyl, various different nuclear catastrophes. Sorry, they were used to clean up the soil, the radiated soil. So they're very powerful soil detoxifiers, and that's one reason I love them. Not only are they great for pollinators, but they're amazing for soil. So moving on, I've got a pawpaw tree here, and he's struggling a little bit. I haven't been able to figure out what's going on. Seems like a bacterial thing maybe, but if anyone knows, let me know. It's got those spots on them. The leaves are just not looking that healthy, so I'm not sure. Here's my peach tree. He is doing great. Peach is doing great. I actually got a couple of peaches off it this year, so that's good. And I was really worried about it last year. You know, he's turning yellow and everything, but he's looking healthy now, so I'm happy about that. I've got another pawpaw over here. Now this one's also looking sad, but I suspect the reason for that is the shade from this pokeweed and also the elderberry, and then potentially water. But I have my elderberry here, and this thing is just taken off. I mean, I could not believe the amount of growth on it. It had a lot more foliage in the spring, but as you can see, it's producing an insane amount of berries. I say that, I mean, a lot of the berries, if you actually look here, there's so much empty stem, but it produced a lot, especially back over here. There's a lot of elderberries in there, so I'm excited to harvest those when they ripen up, and I'm really loving how well this elderberry is done. I mean, it's an amazing plant for Oklahoma. It's native, of course, so it just thrives here. And I did plant this indigo shrub in here to support this pawpaw and the elderberry, but I didn't realize it would be shaded so much. These pokeweeds and elderberry grew up so much this year, kind of threw me off. This is just kind of weeds and stuff I'm letting grow. I do actually have, this guy here is a black mulberry. I planted him this year, and he is thriving. So most of the trees are thriving except for the couple of pawpaws. And then like I said, that's all pokeweed that's growing up. Let's go this way, kind of go through here. Now I had a lot of wildflowers in throughout here, and a lot of them died off, but I still have some, like these guys here. That's I believe that's some sort of poppy, if I remember correctly. There's another indigo shrub. Now, I'm sad to report my fig died. It didn't overwinter. I decided I didn't protect it over the winter. I thought it was a little hardier than it was, but we had a really cold winter, and so it died off, unfortunately. I am gonna try to get another fig tree replanted. Here's the grape. It's doing really well. It's vined itself all the way throughout. It's all throughout this pokeweed. You can see it all in there. I've just let it vine itself up there, and I'll probably trim it back this fall, and it's vined itself over here, so it's doing really well. I'm really happy with the growth on that. here's those flowers. That's the flower it is there. Here's some sunflowers that are blooming. So we built a deck this year. We're really loving that. It's nice to have a place we can hang out on. Let's see, what else new? Oh, I've got some more plants over here. I built a chicken gate. So the chickens kind of stay in this area for the most part, and then we let them free range occasionally. But here's my other Chickasaw plum. He's doing pretty good. Obviously he needs to be trimmed, but I didn't do that at the beginning of the spring, so I'm gonna wait till the fall to do that, but he needs it pretty badly. He hasn't put on as much growth as the other one over there. Here is another indigo shrub, and this thing has grown more than any of the indigo shrubs. You can see it's really tall, really big. I'm loving that growth. Now this thing does produce flowers too, so it's also good for the pollinators. Here's another pawpaw. This guy looks healthy, and I'm super excited about the pawpaws. Can't wait to try them. I feel like they're just gonna be an amazing fruit and crop to have. But I also created this little chicken tractor here. It's sort of small, and I need to do some other things for it. I'm gonna put a little PVC watering system on there and a little PVC feeder, but it's been nice. I created it this size because of my urban context. I can kind of move it around easily in this area. But once again, things are going crazy. A lot of this I'm leaving. There's a lot of morning glory back there. It's really good for pollinators and pokeweed. And oh, there's a black swallowtail butterfly. We've had a lot of those. Around lately. We had some black swallowtail caterpillars too that ate all our fennel, which is fine. I mean, I'm happy to have them here, feed them. We got more pokeweed back here and the chickens. One of the things I want to do very soon is I'm actually going to be building a new chicken coop. So I'm going to take that away, and back here against the fence, I'm going to build a much bigger chicken coop. And so one where I can actually walk in to make clean up way easier, and so they have more room. The other thing I want to do here, I got this guy here. This is a sand plum, so it's just like a native plum that grows wild. It's not like super great tasting, which is why I put it back here with the chickens. It's going to be food for the chickens, and I plan to put a lot more. I mean, obviously it's pretty shaded over here, but right here there's a lot of stuff I can put around here that can be food for them. So I want to do that. Some of the other plants, I got some amaranth growing there too, but some of the other things I want to do is against this garage, you can see the siding's really messed up, so I kind of need to get that fixed. But I plan to put a greenhouse about 4 feet out that runs the length of this shed, and then kind of connects onto the roof up there, and then I'll put rainwater harvesting on it. That's one of the major things I want to do very, very soon, is put a greenhouse on here. I also need to get rainwater harvesting set up. I want to do, at least from one side of the roof, have a swale running through here, rainwater harvesting swale. But there's a lot of plans. Eventually I'll have the time, the money to do everything, hopefully. So let's go out front. I'll show you this. Again, sorry for all the mess. Letting all the clover and plantain here grow. So here we got an elderberry with some sort of caterpillar on it, fuzzy caterpillar. But this is actually just a wild variety that I transplanted or propagated and transplanted from the river that's by my house. So this was just growing wild by the river. We've got some tomatillo here. Got some flowers. I know there was a few tomatillos on it that are small. I'm not seeing them now. We got some more canna up here. Got some sage, some white sage there. Like I said, everything's a mess, but this is another grape which he's doing pretty good. I had him vining up here. That's another grape. We've got a little Indian blanket we planted this year. Now we had wildflowers here, but a lot of them died off. Now this is what's really awesome. We've got a sunflower forest here, and it is going insane. We planted this year, and it has just been amazing to witness. We got a sign there that says pollinator garden, but I mean the sunflowers, look at all these pollinators here. 3 right there. I mean, they are everywhere. We've seen, we also have, not only do we have an immense amount of pollinators, but there's about 4, I think, of golden finches that live on, they love to hang out over here and eat the sunflowers. I don't care if they eat the seeds. There's another black swallowtail, but I mean, I'm more than happy to feed them as well. It feels amazing to come out here and see the amount of pollinators and habitat this has created. Like I said, sunflowers are an abundant source of nectar and food for pollinators, but they're also food for birds, and they're amazing for the soil. And so up here, you know, this is my front yard. It's by the street. I haven't had this soil tested, but I'd be willing to bet money there's heavy metals in that soil, potentially other chemicals and toxins that these sunflowers are cleaning and purifying. So it's purifying my soil, and this is where I had, you know, my food growing last year, and this year I just planted all these sunflowers, and I'm letting it kind of detoxify the soil and clean it before I plant more food. But you can see how tall they are. That one's probably 15 feet there, 12 feet for sure. There's many different varieties in here. I had some mammoth heirlooms up here. So here I've got a watermelon growing against the fence with a couple watermelons. There's one, there's another little one right there, and then there's a big one right here that we had to make this little sling hammock for, hold it up. Let's see what else we have. We got some mint, two varieties of mint. We got some basil. We had a squash there that, you know, got the vine borer and died. Got some other herbs. We had an eggplant right there. We just harvested an eggplant yesterday. Got a pepper there. Now this is a squash it was doing really well. It's now dying off due to the vine borer as well. The vine borer is really bad here. So I just plant several squash and then let them survive for a while. Now, like I said, I need to clean up back here, but we do have some plants. This is a lilac I planted for the pollinators. This is a catmint, medicinal plant, good for the pollinators. Got some buckwheat flowers back there, sunflowers. Let's see what else. I think that's pretty much it. So I plan to clean this up now, get everything cleaned up. I'm gonna do some more planting this weekend. I've got a lot of projects in mind, but everything takes time. So I appreciate you guys watching. And if you have any questions, just leave them below. I'd love to answer any questions or talk. And, you know, I know I'm not a professional. I don't know everything. I'm just kind of learning and doing and experimenting, and that's what it's all about for me. That's how I learn, is by just doing and experimenting and failing, of course. Fail a lot, but I learn a lot too. So yeah, this has been, it's a fun journey. I mean, seeing the growth on this stuff is amazing. Coming out here every day, waking up to this, I love it. So thank you guys for following along and watching this video, and please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.